Hello, John aka Chicken Fillets here. Now as gamers we are very lucky that some of our favourite games have got epic storytelling in front of us. However, you know what we're even luckier with is that some developers give us extra story content via DLC. Now with that in mind, I thought I'd have a look at 5 amazing JRPG DLC that you should play. Now I'm not alone in this today, I've got a couple of friends on the channel to give me their contributions today. Now before we begin, if you like what you're hearing and seeing on this channel, well please help me grow it by liking, sharing and subscribing. And if you want to be kept up to date with everything Chicken Fillets, well, hit that notification bell. Now with that guff all out the way, let's have a look.
Hello, Chicken Fillets here, and thank you to Upper Nimbus for... Hang on, that's not right. No, wait, I'm Upper Nimbus. Hey guys, Upper Nimbus here. So thank you so much, Chicken Fillets, for having me on this collaboration of yours. So my choice for amazing DLC from a JRPG is none other than Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed.
I'm feeling full of beans!
This expansion for the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 game is absolutely unreal to play. Now I do have to be very careful with spoilers of Future Redeemed because ultimately it is a very spoiler heavy set of DLC which completely wraps up the entire trilogy and explains so much that was left unsaid, especially in the base game of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So the setting and premise of Future Redeemed is in fact a prequel to the main base game of Xenoblade 3, and it portrays the events of what happened within Ionios before the present day in Xenoblade 3. And just like in the base game of Xenoblade 3, we do accumulate our own original set of characters to make up the party, which actually includes the protagonists of both Xenoblade 1 and 2, Shulk and Rex. So this was definitely the fan service element that they threw within Future Redeemed. And they're not just there for fan service, they are incredibly crucial to the plot and story of Future Redeemed and the events surrounding Ionios within the past. So seeing our boys back in action, all grown up and chatterlicious, it's a real treat to not only fans of the series as a whole, but to newcomers as well. And yes, we are exploring new lands of Ionios which were not there in the base game. So why do I highly recommend this Nintendo Switch DLC? Well, the biggest and most important factor to me personally is the fact that this DLC truly does complete the Xenoblade saga. Whatever information was missing from Xenoblade Chronicles 3 becomes an answered question in the DLC of Future Redeemed. And of course, if you know Xenoblade Chronicles, these games are all about emotion. So if you're someone like myself who craves deep, thoughtful stories and emotional roller coasters that draw you into the story even further, then Future Redeemed is that DLC I highly recommend that you should play. But just a word of warning, I do recommend you play the entire series of Xenoblade Chronicles before you get to Future Redeemed. I know it's going to be quite the journey, but trust me, it is definitely worth it. Xenoblade Chronicles is the game to play and the franchise to fall in love with. Thank you once again for having me on this collaboration, Chicken Fillets. I always enjoy being part of these videos, my dude. And of course, I look forward to everybody else's choice within this video. So until the next time, everybody, Upper Nimbus is signing off.
What's up everyone, I'm Luca from Fatal Gaming and I'm very happy to talk about the DLC of one of my favorite games of all time. And this is CrossCode. For those of you who don't know CrossCode, here's a quick summary of what the game is about. You play as Leah, a girl with amnesia who seems to be trapped in a fictional MMORPG, Cross Worlds. As you try to uncover the mysteries behind Leah and the game itself, you experience an emotional story full of twists and heartwarming moments you never forget. Gameplay-wise, CrossCode focuses on fast-paced action combat, platforming, and most importantly, fantastic puzzles. You know, the story brings you to these dungeons where you find new elemental powers for Leah. In there, you need to solve several dozens of puzzles that all make use of Leah's ability to throw spheres. These puzzles are physics-based, very creatively designed, and extremely satisfying to solve. So CrossCode's DLC A New Home is one of the best JRPG DLCs ever because the devs were very aware of what made this game great in the first place. So what we got was more of the same. I won't spoil the story, but I will say that the DLC provided an emotional and satisfying conclusion and answered all the questions I had when I finished the game. Also a new area is added, which is just beautiful and that comes with easily the longest and most complex platforming section this game has to offer. The main reason this DLC is such a great piece of art though is the new dungeon. You know, the main game had elaborate and huge dungeons that can take you up to like 2 to 4 hours to complete. the DLC dungeon is like 3 times as big, featuring the most difficult and complex puzzles in the whole game. The dungeon in the base game focus on 1 or 2 elemental powers for solving puzzles, but because you have access to all the elements in the DLC, the dungeon's puzzles in this just blew me away with their creative use of these elements. And like in the base game, solving puzzles is super satisfying because the devs found this sweet spot for difficulty, and therefore solving them makes you feel so smart. It took me around 6 to 7 hours to complete the whole dungeon, and it was easily one of the best hours I spent in any DLC. So there you have it, CrossCode in New Home is easily one of the best JRPG DLC ever, and one you should not overlook. And generally, go play CrossCode if you haven't done so already, it's phenomenal. So thanks so much for having me, John, this was a lot of fun. Alright, see you guys next time.
Oh, hi there. I think you guys caught me at a bad time. I'm currently researching on weddings. Give me a sec, please. That's better. Hey everyone, what up? Matt Kaiser here, and thank you Chicken Fillets for allowing me to be in this collab to talk about an amazing JRPG DLC. Now my pick is quite a controversial one, but still I love it regardless, and that is Tales of Arise Beyond the Dawn. Now this DLC is pretty much a brand new epilogue for Tales of Arise in general, as this was actually released 2 years after the base game, which honestly even still is mind-blowing. Now what this DLC offers is a brand new epilogue, and it shows the events of Alphen and Xion after the events of the main game story, where both of them have completely ended the whole Danon and Renan conflict, and thus both worlds have merged into one. But obviously some loose ends have still need to be tied up, with the whole Danon and Renan still not getting along with each other, and also to find a new mysterious girl named Nazumil, who's actually the daughter of both a Renan Lord and Danon, and thus largely hated by both sides. So with that said, Alphen and a gang reunite once more in order to help bring Danons and Renans into peace once and for all, as well as help Nazumil settle into a new life. Now obviously one of the DLC's faults is that there's not much brand new original content as like we hoped so, or even just brand new gameplay additions that really is on par with other amazing JRPG DLCs. But where I think this game really does shine is well with the story, the characters, and how much the world has grown, especially through not just the story itself, but through the character subquests and the EX quests, which are absolutely wholesome. The gang is great as always, as they were in the main game, now fully developed, especially with Xion being more colourful and very friendly towards the gang, and Alphen having a brand new arc. And honestly, it's just that wholesome, and Nazumil was such a great addition to the story for Tales of Arise in general. Not only that, but while there wasn't that much new in terms of gameplay, the combat still remains to be amazing, and things like say the brand new dungeon as well as the new final boss was absolutely phenomenal. While obviously this DLC might be, well, overpriced to say, for like $30, as I do think it should be at least, $10 to $15 at the very least, what we got in general is pretty solid. And if you love Tales of Arise, then I think you will enjoy this DLC regardless. So, in my heart, I really loved Tales of Arise Beyond the Dawn, and it was nice to see my beloved Arise fam for one last journey, one last ride once more. Thank you Chicken Fields for having me, and with that said, time to go back to my research.
Hey everybody, Eric here. Here at the Chicken Fillets YouTube channel, we're all fans of Final Fantasy VII. Of course, we're going to talk about the DLC for Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy VII Remake Episode Intermission. Gee, that's a mouthful, but this was awesome because this was the first true new content for Final Fantasy VII, which gave us another look at what was happening during the main mission. In Intermission, players take control of Yuffie Kisaragi, a lovable character featured in Crisis Core and of course Final Fantasy VII, as she embarks on a mission to infiltrate the Shinra headquarters and steal a powerful materia. This DLC provides additional insight into the events taking place in Midgar and expands on the overall narrative of the remake. So pretty much everything that happens in this game almost happens simultaneously with the main game, so you get an inside look at, for example, what was happening in Sector 7 when the plates were falling down. Now, the combat in this DLC is absolutely flawless, and it expands upon the formula shown within the remake, but with a ninja-like moveset, of course, to complement Yuffie. I tell you what, it's a real joy to play, and I absolutely destroy every enemy in my path. It's fun. From attacks to combos, I had a smile on my face the entire time. You're also joined by Sonon, a fellow warrior from Wu Tai, who's a non-playable guest character, but he supports in battles, making things a little bit more easier. Within the DLC is a unique mechanic known as synergizing, which lets the group team up and use coordinated attacks to deal big damage and greatly pressure opponents. Yuffie does have some personal motivations for doing what she does, which I won't spoil, but it's great to have a bit more backstory to her character, and it gives you a bit more of a reason to be emotionally invested in her and her journey as well. Aside from the main stuff, there's also the Fort Condor minigame, which is a slight variation of the minigame from the original Final Fantasy VII, essentially like a glorified rock, paper, scissors tower defense minigame, which you can easily sink a bunch of time into. There's also some extra side quest stuff like the Happy Green Turtle missions with that addicting music that I just can't get enough of whenever I play this. I would describe this DLC as bite-sized, completable within like 5 hours or so, but as we all know, even something short can pack a punch. Thank you again, Chicken Phillips, for having me on to talk about our favorite game of all time, Final Fantasy VII.
Now, we have had some awesome JRPG DLC presented to us by all the people on this video today. Now, I wanted to give you my take and give you Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna the Golden Country. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna the Golden Country is the prequel story to the main story of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is set 500 years before these events. What this story DLC did was took the main story and everything from the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and amped it up several times. The developers really took their time to redefine the combat system from the main game, and really, this is a solid combat system compared to the main story. Now, the game is set 500 years before the main story of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and it focuses in on Laura and Jin. Now, if you've played Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you will know that Jin is one of the antagonists. So why are you playing as him? Well, storytelling 101, every villain needs a backstory, don't they? We also find out more about other characters in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 universe, the likes of Mithra, Malos, and the legend known as Adam. Torna is an absolutely gorgeous titan to walk around with lush foliage, even though that this backdrop is dangerous and littered with enemies. And by the end of this story, you will have a better understanding of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in general and more appreciation for the characters and their struggles. The soundtrack as well is jazzy, and when I say jazzy, I mean jazzy. Whoa. And in a rare move from Nintendo, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna the Golden Country actually has a physical edition as well. To me, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna the Golden Country is essential for your JRPG collection, and is definitely worthwhile to play as DLC. So there we have it, 5 amazing JRPG DLC that you should play. Have we missed out any JRPG DLC? Well, let us know in the comments down below. And thank you once again to everyone who has contributed to this video today. Please remember to support their channels, give them a like and a share. Now, if you like what you're hearing and seeing on this channel, well, please help me grow it by liking, sharing and subscribing. And if you want to be kept up to date with everything Chicken Fillets, well, hit that notification bell. This has been John, aka Chicken Fillets, and until next time, tatty bye!